Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, actually. It's a beautiful day here in Las Vegas. Sun's shining, and was able to get up with my kids and make a little breakfast, and then jump on with you.
So it's still morning where you are. What did you have in your smoothie this morning? Because I stalked and thought that that's how you start your day every day.
Yes, so it's just usually just greens and fruit and a little bit of protein powder. So just enough to kind of get the fiber, get things moving down
Get you
there.
going.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you already have a chance to journal this morning, or did you go straight into like, hey, I got to make breakfast, hang with the kids, and then start doing interviews?
Yeah, so I went straight from breakfast to interviews, and then my typical day would be just like you're saying. I typically would be writing. So when we finish, I'll probably jump on the computer, and I actually do all my recording right here, right in this room on this microphone. This is where I did follow you. Was actually just in this room on this microphone. And for those who are engineer uh, savvy, if you listen to the vocals, the compression grabs on this room because this is a large room, and that's kind of it's untypical. You typically would go in a vocal booth and it gives you that sound kind of that
Yeah,
there. But anyway,
we have a similar we have a similar thing because being in radio for the last year, almost none of us have got to work at home or in the studio. So we're all at home. So I actually have like a sound screen to
right.
try and help from some of those noises bouncing off the walls. I mean, it is what it is. And obviously, we're not doing it on a huge scale like you, but we make it work. I want to tell you a story
Please.
because I have been a huge fan for a long time. I remember I was working in St. Cloud, Minnesota, tiny town, and you guys were playing. You were, I think, opening for the Jezebels,
Yes. Yeah.
and you were playing Triple Rock Social Club in Minneapolis.
Wow, that was the
And
best.
I was so excited. I drove an hour and a half to the show. I get there and I don't have any cash. And you guys have like your, I think it was the Hell in Science and the It's Time and Imagine Dragons EPs like for $5 each. I'm like, I have to get these. And so like I go to the bartender. I'm like, hey, can you just like charge me for a drink and I'll over tip so that way I can get some cash back. And he's like, we don't do that. And I like hopped over the bar and I was like, I just drove 2 hours to see this band. And the least I can do is buy their music, and like went off. And he was like, all right, all right. And like ended up giving me the cash
That.
back so that way I could buy those EPs.
Oh my gosh! I wish that I could give you some signed something right now because that is some amazing support. And it's funny because those EPs are like not a lot of people have those physical EPs. It's like there were only so many of them made, and that's before we were signed. And that's crazy that you did. That's
And
amazing.
the amount of like time and like effort that you guys put into, I remember like the art because they were paper and there was still like art. It wasn't just like a white, blank sleeve with the track list on it. So, and I remember I let my friend Brooke borrow most of them, and I think I got like one or two of them back. So I kind of dig those up.
That's amazing. That's really
But
thank you.
what I wanted to say it, to follow up with that is you guys really did have a slow start. I remember you saying that there were times when you couldn't even book a gig.
Mhm.
And was it true that you guys actually opened for a mime?
It is true at a mall. And that yes, that was a real low for us. That was we had been a band at like 2.5 years at that point. And any young band knows you just take anything. You take anything you can get. You're not worried about pay. You're just trying to get in front of as many people as you can to try to build an audience. So we had a mall that said, "Well, why don't you come play at the mall?" They didn't tell us that we were the opening act. They not that we would have cared. We would have done it
Right.
anyway. But after we finished, yes, it was like, and now for your next act, Amon, and it was just Amon, and he was look, mine was great, but that was a low low where I think you're questioning, like, should I keep
Are we
that?
doing the right thing?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Uh, what was the push and the motivation to keep going at that point?
You know, I've said this before, and I really, it's this is how I still feel to this day. I really believe you don't do music if you want to do it. You do it if you have to do it. I didn't. There was nothing else. It was like there was nothing in life that even came close to the joy that music brought to me. So anytime I think, well, I'm broke and no money, like we live together, we genuinely had no money. We would play like some casino gigs where we'd have to do 50% covers for 6 hours and then split $300 between 5 of us. And it was like we were just living off ramen, and that's it. And when you're doing that, it sucks, but you do it because you just love it. You love it, and
And
anybody who knows that's where happiness comes from, is doing things you love, and not from success.
yeah, you just hope that that's a byproduct, that somebody will enjoy what you're providing to the world and it works out. Was there an actual moment as a band or just for you as a person where something clicked? And I take this from I don't know if you saw the Coldplay, the Chris Martin documentary, where he looks at the camera and he's like, "We're gonna be huge stars." Did you have a moment like that where like there was like a singular event?
It was a lot of little things that added up. I mean, there were definitely moments where I was like, this is crazy that this is happening. And like performing at the Grammys, winning a Grammy, like that's a moment where I was like, whoa. I remember playing Rock 'em Ring, and it was like 200,000 people out there, and we were walking on stage and thinking, whoa. But I also remember in the very beginning where it was like, we just sold out a 600 ticket room. This is incredible. Like, wow, I can't believe there's 600 people who want to see us in Minneapolis or something. So it was just little things you watch as it came together. Hearing our song on the radio for the first time, I remember hearing "It's Time." I remember where I was. I remember getting emotional, and just because we had worked so hard to get there. So
Where
yeah,
were you the first time you heard it?
I was at home. I was played on the radio here in Las Vegas, and I knew what time it was going to play. I'd gotten all my family together in a room, and it played, and then I cried. I cried. I was really it was very meaningful.
I will tell you that's something that is really nerve-wracking on our end too, because you really care and you know how much work and how much it means to the artist. I have always told my bosses, I'm like, if the artist is listening, like, don't tell me, because like I want to do this service, but like I don't want to let them down. Like, just like let me do it organically. So I have to tell you, just behind the scenes, that goes both ways of like, just like this is happening.
Yeah, I could see that being a little scary because you know that they're listening to every word. It's like,
Yeah, it's crazy, but putting in the work with your career, with your marriage, which you've been really open about, seems to be a theme. And in the newest song "Follow You," where you talk about how it's about loyalty and what you need to do to get your marriage back on track. Again, you're putting in the work. And do you feel like in all areas of your life, whether that's mental health, you've been very open about therapy and even trying intermittent fasting to get your mind right? And do you think that trumps everything? Because some people have the notion of things happen for a reason and they believe in destiny and fate. Or are you of the do you subscribe to more of, you got to put in the work and it doesn't matter, nothing's going to happen without you being proactive?
I really believe a couple things that I live by. One is the path of least resistance. So I believe that in making choices in life, wherever you go, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that you always take a path that's easier. Sometimes that's a harder path, but the path of least resistance is basically following your truth. And if you follow your truth always and you're emitting your truth, I believe good things happen. Most people are inherently good. I think it's just built into humans to be not necessarily altruistic, but actually yes, to a degree altruistic, because I actually think it's part of evolution. There's like a book by Richard Dawkins I was just reading called The Selfish Gene that gets into this. Super fascinating. But anyway, I really believe that as you are emanating your truth, that's what matters most. First of all, criticism doesn't hurt when you're admitting your truth because it's your truth. It hurts when it's not your truth because then you think, well, I already was doing something to achieve something. And then, you know what I mean? That's so just
You're absorbing somebody else's narrative, and when you're doing that, it messes with everything that you are focusing on yourself. They say that the highest level of confidence that you can have is receiving criticism, and that's because you know how to dissect what's true and what's not.
100%. 100%. As I get older, I see that more and more, where you just start. And I think that's why as people get older, they care less. It's not even that you care less. You just only care about the things that matter. And you also find out who you are. And so you're really just living as who you are. And when you're living as who you are, why would you apologize for anything? Why would you ever feel bad for who you are on a base level, as long as you're living your truth? So yeah, I just that's it's a simple principle, but it's really what I try to live by.
I love that so much. And that goes in line with a lot of things that I have recently been reading. And even just a podcast that I stumbled upon about earthquakes. And it had less to do with like science and the earth and how all that happens, but how it affects a society, and how in an event, in a catastrophe of any kind, you do find that people are more altruistic than they ever get credit for. And I just, to me, hearing things like that in any capacity, whether it's about earthquakes or whatever, just makes me so happy to be here. I'm like, we're all good. We're having a good time.
And the crazy thing is, for people who are like the science-minded people who are, it's not even a spiritual based thing. It really is actually, we have progressed as humans. We have lived because we were altruistic to each other. We had to be altruistic to build together, to act. Working together is what made Homo sapiens like live and progress as a culture, as a people. It's because we were working together, and we found that out, that that's what we need to do. So it's actually just genetically in us to be altruistic to a degree, because we know that that actually serves us.
And I love that you are, through your music and through your philanthropy, you are always showing that altruism. You are giving us a piece of yourself through your experiences in life with depression, mental health, your marriage, your family, your losses and your gains. And I think that is the most selfless way that you can, give back to the world, is through shared experiences, something that so many people don't have the capacity to do themselves. So to know that you're not alone in something is really, really powerful. So thank you for that. And one last thing, we have a new album to look forward to. We know that that's completed, right?
Yes.
No
Indeed.
release date?
Can't tell you the release date. We have it, but we haven't announced it. We will soon. But the album is complete. It's being mixed as we speak right now. So yeah.
I love that. And you are going to be on Dave Grohl's new TV series on Paramount Plus, From the Cradle to the Stage. Is there anything that you want to give us a sneak peek on that? Do you know which day your episode's going to air?
Yeah, so it's the season premiere. So that's the first episode is the one with me and my mom, and she's a very amazing woman, and I'm glad that the world will finally get to see that. Everything good that is about me, or anything I've done that's ever been anything good, comes from my mom, and all the bad stuff just comes from myself. So
Well, that's amazing. I look forward to watching it. I look forward to hearing the new album. And thank you so much for spending this part of your day with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the support.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
We'll see you.
Bye.